Hello, grade 12, here we are again, and it's time for our quick review for the second half of scene 3 in Act 4. Okay, so again, uh, pages 135 to 140. This part is shorter because we did the biggest part yesterday, and today we only have 3 main tasks to do in class today. Okay, now, exercise 1. Please look back at lines 164, 163 and identify some of the language features Shakespeare uses in the script here. Look for personification, listing, metaphors, visual images, symbols. Listing is when the writer gives number of things one after another. Like yesterday, Malcolm was listing Macbeth's evils. Okay, this and this and this and this and that. Okay, so it's also a kind of a language feature, not much of a figure of speech, but language feature nonetheless. Now, while doing so, you will also fill in the table in your notebooks. Table goes like this. Like first, you will write a quotation or the number of line where you find it if you don't want to copy the whole quotation, then language feature that you may find there, and the possible effects on the audience or reader. Okay, so you will have like 10 to 15 minutes to do so. I guess it's not very difficult. Pause now. Okay, and now while doing this exercise, you also revise the episode, and you see, and as you saw it like 2 days ago when you were reading this scene, that in this part, Ross finally arrives to England, and Ross comes to meet Macduff, not really Malcolm, but he wants to meet Macduff. Why? Because he has the news about Macduff's family. Actually, this is the episode when and where Malcolm starts believing Macduff, because now when Ross says that all Macduff's family is dead and killed, slaughtered, murdered, so it is now that Malcolm sees that Macduff didn't came here absolutely with safe background, safe back behind him in the country. No, he sees that Macduff has suffered probably even more than Malcolm, did. Okay, now I hope you're done with this list of personification and visual images. Okay, we will discuss some of them in our online sessions, hopefully. Okay, now our second part. Now, Ross knows what has happened to Macduff's family, right? But he doesn't immediately tell his terrible news, saying rather that the family, they are well and at peace. Very interesting wording, right? So, what different meanings do these key phrases have? That okay, when Macduff is asking like, how's my family, like, well and at peace. Okay, but why does Ross delay telling Macduff what has happened, and how does this add to the dramatic tension and pathos of this scene? So first of all, which other meanings of peace do we know? Like, for example, rest in peace. So, now, doesn't it mean that Ross tells Macduff, actually he gives him clues, but Macduff cannot read them because he doesn't know the context really. Okay, so, and he doesn't understand that this peace actually means that they are already resting in peace. So, now, think about different meanings, think about the reasons for Ross to delay telling Macduff what has happened, okay, and hopefully we will discuss it when on Thursday or on Friday. And now, interesting thing, planning the murder of Duncan, Lady Macbeth taunted her husband for not behaving like a man. And at the banquet, she accused him of being unmanned. And you remember we already discussed the medieval understanding of man qualities and women's qualities. Okay, now Malcolm in lines 220 to 135 and Macduff in line 221 express different interpretations of what it is to be a man, and actually between these lines too. Okay, so let's say from 222 to 135, in those lines, these two characters express different ideas of what does it mean to be a man. Do you agree with their representations of masculinity or not? And if yes or no, then tell us why. Okay, look, I will look at these lines again. 220. Where is it? It's in my book. Here, I found it. Now, disputed like a man, says Malcolm. Macduff says, I shall do so. So it's 220. Dispute it like a man, discuss it, talk about it like a man, struggle with it like a man. Okay, and Macduff says, yes, I will do. But I must also feel it as a man, says Macduff. Do men feel things differently from women? I mean, like, do we feel this, like, do we suffer the same things? Do we feel the same things differently or not? Do we understand the same things differently? Okay, Macduff says here that he, first of all, must feel it as a man. Eat here means the slaughter of his family, of course. Okay, so Malcolm tells him, okay, struggle with it like a man. I wouldn't like your book gives this word dispute as struggle. I wouldn't translate it as struggle here. I would say bear it like a man. Take it, accept it like a man, says Malcolm. What does it mean to accept such grievous news like a man? With no tears? With the feeling of revenge? Like Macduff says, I must feel it as a man. Okay, so, but look, can a man cry in this situation? What do you think? Can a man get angry, feel hopeless and helpless in this situation? I guess he can. So, I cannot but remember such things that were most precious to me. Did heaven look on and wouldn't take their part, sinful Macduff, they were all struck for thee. So now he starts blaming himself, right? Not that I am, not for their own demerits, but for mine, fell slaughter on their souls. Heaven rest them now. So he accepts the fact. Okay, it's up to the director and to the actor to show Macduff crying or breaking chairs or like waving his sword to the audience. Shakespeare doesn't give us clues what is Macduff doing at this moment when delivering this speech. Okay, but for sure, whatever the actor is doing, supposed to show us what does it mean to feel the sorrow, the grief as a man. And then Malcolm says, be this whetstone on your sword. Let grief convert to anger. Blunt not the heart. enraged. So again, here Malcolm teaches, if we can say teaches, Malcolm teaches or encourages Macduff to get angry and to look for revenge. Okay, so a whetstone is a stone that was used for sharpening swords and other like weapons and tools that needed sharp edges. So it's like apply the sharpening stone on your sword, or sharpen your sword, get angry, okay, and do not blunt not your heart. It's like don't quiet your heart, okay. On the contrary, enrage it, make it angry. And this is also what Malcolm sees as being the man's reaction to the sorrow or to the grief or to the murder of the family. And Macduff here says, "Oh, I could play the woman with mine eyes and braggart with my tongue. By gentle heavens, cut short all intermission. Front to front, bring thou this fiend of Scotland and myself within my swords, and set him, if he escape, heaven forgive him too." So, and Macduff is enraged, and he wants the fight. He wants to meet Macbeth face to face. He wants to fight him, and if he can, he wants to kill him. Okay, so this is how Malcolm and Macduff see the manly qualities, or like the presentation. So this is how they represent masculinity. Now, compared to what Macbeth, or rather Lady Macbeth, saw as being a man, do they think differently or not? For her, you remember in the very beginning, she was like, "Be cunning like a snake under the flower. Smile, be nice, but keep your sting or keep your dagger," right? So for her, to be a man was like to be able to do a thing. Okay, it doesn't matter a good thing or bad thing, just to do what you have decided, without and so it didn't matter for her if you do this thing quietly, where like when no one sees, or if you do it openly. Okay, while for Macduff, for example, here he wants an open revenge. So and if you remember Macbeth, before his wife started taunting him, you remember that he was the man who was able to meet his enemy face to face without hiding under the cover of darkness. So actually here I see that Lady Macbeth, partially, she changed Macbeth's understanding of masculinity. So she taught him how to be a different kind of man. Okay, while for normal man of that time, you remember we were discussing it. Okay, for normal man at that time, it was it was expected of you to be able to fight, to be brave, to be bold. Okay, and whatever you have in your mind, you just express it straight away without hiding it. Okay, so all in all, in this case, Lady Macbeth introduced to Macbeth different type of masculinity, and he, as he was submissive to her will, he obeyed, and he changed his understanding of being a real man. Okay, so he preferred to act, behind people's backs instead of just facing them. Okay, so you keep thinking about it as well. Okay, so maybe you have some different ideas. You are free to share them with us online. Okay, as for now, here comes your little homework. Earlier in this scene, Malcolm had engaged in a deception to test Macduff's integrity. You remember yesterday. His words now pose a moral question. Is Malcolm genuinely trying to help Macduff cope with his grief in these lines that we have just read? Okay, is he really trying him to overcome the grief, or is he just seizing an opportunity to urge him into the common cause against Macbeth? So you see now, in the beginning of the scene that we read yesterday, okay, Malcolm was testing Macduff's sincerity. But is Malcolm sincere now, and is he really trying to help Macduff overcome his grief? Or is he just trying to urge Macduff and to use him against Macbeth? So, step into role as Malcolm and write a letter to Donalbain, currently in self-imposed exile in Ireland. You remember Donalbain ran to Ireland. Okay, so right now you are Malcolm and you're writing a letter to your brother, okay, telling him why you behaved as you did throughout this episode. Okay, so in other words, you, through the eyes of Malcolm, are asked to summarize this scene. Okay, because you remember I didn't ask you to summarize this episode before. It is time for you to do it now, but through the eyes of Malcolm. Thank you. Bye.